Okay, so not too long ago I did Knight Theory and found out that Knight is actually optimal. I found a gap in progression where I could technically job level up some some damage dealer up to really good job level. So perfect timing, right post Fire Crystal for my damage dealing slot, my main damage dealer Ingus, to have Knight, so I can use him as a swap while I'm doing dungeon crawls. Perfect for having additional defenses and healing throughout the dungeon crawl. It is wonderful as a swap. Now, Black Mage Theory is something that also fell along with this post Fire Crystal gap of job level grinding. It's like, well, I have a Red Mage here. I'm already having a Red Mage when I dungeon crawl as well as a Knight. Do I need this third source of healing? Do I need this final Red Mage, or can I go job level grind something else? Now, considering Knight, I'll be totally fine, like getting that healing in, and it'll be excellent, especially once I get post Water Crystal, because I can swap my Red Mage there on many dungeons that don't have bosses at the end of them, and some of them with bosses at the end of them. I can swap over from Red Mage to Bard, and then swap back to Red Mage using Elixir to get those slots back right before the boss. And I can make use of even more simple healing for the dungeon crawls. I can make use of the Bard's immense support capabilities, and that's an amazing swap. But again, we have this gap in right before the Water Crystal. We have all of this Scholar Age, and also, interestingly enough, this seems to be good for the Odin fight as well, because of how easy it is to set up turtle shells and dominate from there. The Black Mage, going from Red Mage to Black Mage during this post Fire Crystal era, why not? Why not? The benefits: big damage on the board, front and back row. So I can help out if Ranger isn't going to be as reliable at this time, which usually it's not. It's still an amazing investment. It can deal some great burst damage, great versus bosses. The Thief is going to be even less reliable damage-wise. So if I'm lacking in a little bit of damage, Black Mage is certainly going to help. It's going to be higher intellect and higher damage output on Black Mage spells than on Black Magic than your Red Mage, certainly. So that's going to be fantastic. You also have more slots, so you have more to use, even as you swap back to Red Mage, because you don't lose any slots going from Black Mage to Red Mage if you're casting them already. So you have a few extra that you can cast that you would normally lose, but if you cast them anyway, you don't need them. They're gone. You didn't effectively lose anything, which is super cool. I love that. But even then, you can, in the Cave of Fire, steal bomb arms from the green bomb type enemies and just use those. And Sfaraga super early. It's really good for your Scholar, but if your Scholar doesn't go, you still have immense damage on the board with your Black Mage. Dropping a Faraga earlier than usual. That is incredible. Incredible. And it only adds to the Thief value and utility throughout the game. That is just phenomenal. Not only that, but just being able to drop a Thundara with immense damage versus the Kraken fight. In the Goldor fight, even though he's really resistant to pretty much everything, especially magic, being able to drop a Faraga still as a Black Mage is incredible. So having this damage on the board, even if the Scholar goes last, is just amazing. Like being able to just one round Kraken, one round Hein, one round Goldor, one round Garuda. It's just so good. So good. And then just having big damage on board when you're trying to go all in once you're all turtle shelled up versus Odin is just so nice. Like, sure, you could go Bard. You could just drop your Bard songs, but you're really only looking for the Loki harp at that point to buff with Minuet. And that's just one buff to use, whereas the main buff that the Bard's famous for in pairing with the Viking is Madhura. The Madhura harp basically boosting your defense. I forget the name of the spell, but it says boosting your defense way up. You don't need those defenses boosted way up because the Vikings already got immense defenses, plus that turtle shell. You're taking 0 damage from the back row as a Viking from Odin anyway. So, don't need extra defenses. We're fine. At which point the Bard's just doing one thing, other than turtle shell, which you could already do as the Black Mage. And then getting extra damage on the board for just efficiently taking out Odin is just going to be better. So the Black Mage, it's just really nice for the Scholar era gaming. It's also really, really nice for the Odin fight as well, just as a final slot. Now, the cons. Weak physically to back attacks. This is covered by the Knight's passive protection. I didn't mention this during the Knight theory because it didn't come up then, but now I know it does. Very, very rarely you'll get a back attack, and if your Black Mage gets hit like a couple times, it might be dropped down into the critical zone. At which point, if it's targeted again, or if any of your party member in the critical HP zone is targeted for an attack again, the Knight is automatically going to swoop in. And then with all of the Knight's defenses and the Knight being in the back row already on a back attack, it is set physically. Especially because you're going, if you're going more than one round and you're getting targeted again, you can just swap the Knight from weapons into shield. You can do your heroic shield plus ice shield, and then be extremely tanky. Just have the Knight be the back attack tank, as well as healing, as well as good damage up front, effective damage up front. You're just solid, solid, solid. That is just incredible. It's also going to be really good because we've got a Ranger up front, which isn't the best defensive throughout the game. And we're going to have what was it? We're still going to have Red Mage up front. That's going to change to Viking eventually, so that's not going to be an issue eventually there. But still, if you have Viking up front in a back attack, Black Mage up front, like Ranger up front, Knight in the back, you might want some bonus damage support. You know, if your Knight is going to be helping out with tanking, your Viking's not going to be too good offensively anyway, because the weapons are really heavy, and you might want to set them aside or throw them later on with ninjas. So what you're going to do is probably going to tank as well with the Viking. And then you're going to deal big damage with Ranger, but in order to get these really efficient moments when you're in, like, say, Temple of Time or something, you're going to want to cast with the Black Mage. Get a good, solid multi-cast. It's going to help in your dividing dungeons. It's going to help this, here, there, everywhere. The dividing dungeons, of course, you're going to have Thief instead, but, like, again, Knight in the back row, having your Black Mage deal some good damage there, it's going to be fine. It's going to be really, really nice. So, the other thing is no healing, big or small spell slots. So, like your Kuragas, not there. Cures throughout the fight or throughout the dungeon crawl, not there. Again, you are not going to need your cures throughout the dungeon crawls. You are covered by Knight. You're covered by eventually swapping a Bard and eventually having this character as a Sage. You are covered. It is okay. And now there are a great deal of bosses, especially during the Scholar Age and also Odin, where you're just not going to need to heal at all. Also, like Hecatoncheir and Titan, they only have their burst damage at the end. You're covered. Leviathan, Bahamut, same sort of deal. You're covered. Now, those Leviathan, Bahamut, you're going to be well beyond the Scholar Age, well beyond this, that. So you'll probably have Earth Crystal, and that's going to be totally fine. But even then, they're not casting. They're just doing physical attacks generally until you've dropped them with the Dragoon or like Ninja, plus Ranger with light arrows for Leviathan. These sorts of things. So we don't need Catastro either from the Sage. At this point, the Bard's going to be fired during those encounters. And yes, eventually, the Black Mage is just going to be outclassed by the Bard and then the Sage. So, encounters where Sage isn't going to be too interesting, we're going to go Bard. Encounters where Bard isn't going to be too interesting on that character, we're going to go Sage. And the third character is going to be Bard. Your final character is going to be your big damage dealer in that instance. And at this point, we are covered. I'm pretty sure I know just about everything in regards to job progression now. I'd love to be wrong on that, but I think we are set, and I think honestly, I can add that to the job optimization thing here, where we have red mage slash black mage. Yeah, that is just glorious. Red mage, black mage, bard. That's just phenomenal. And again, I can actually drop red mage from here. And honestly, during the Scholar Age, yeah, I'm not going to heal anyway. So I'm going to drop red mage from there. So let's actually do swap. Red mage, thief, monk, Knight Dragoon. Yep, this is all looking good. Viking, Scholar for Garuda. So we'll do Scholar slash Viking. Or Viking slash Scholar, really. Bard Ranger. Here. And, oh no, we'll actually keep, let's see, where would I want Red Mage healing-wise in the mid-game? Let's see. Oh, I'd actually want Red Mage in Temple of Time. There we go. And now, Sage. We're gonna do Bard. Swap Bard for Dungeon Crawls. No, we're not, because at this point in the end game, there's gonna be a lot of casting. Oh no, we can mention that. Because in Lake Door and Bahamut's Lair, we don't need to... Like, same thing with Doga's Grotto as well. We don't need to have Sage, because we're not going to be going up against casters. And we're not going to need that big healing or potential catastro for the dungeon crawl. So we're going to say, swap Bard for dungeon crawls until end game dungeons. So endgame dungeons is going to be like Ancient Maze, Eureka, Crystal Tower, and then World of Darkness. So we're not going to have Bard for those. We'd want Sage just in case we get a nasty back attack or our Viking starts getting like blasted with magic. Like, oh no. Even then, at this point, we're gonna have. I actually want to say Knight here. We're actually gonna, we're gonna do Knight. Swap Knight for dungeon crawls. And again, the Knight is gonna be able to cover for the Viking if he gets absolutely blasted by magic and gets to the critical range. And then it gets targeted for some sort of hard physical attack in the front row. We're gonna have the Knight cover for that, and we'll be good on that end. And a back attack, that'll be especially good. But also just like the healing overall is going to be nice. Of course, we're going to be able to have poison efficiency, all the usual Knight theory. Yeah, that's going to be fine. Even in the end game dungeons, it's going to be great. Okay, so swap Dragoon for Bahamut Iron. Swap. Yeah, this is good. This is good. And that's it. We're good. Now we have Viking and Black Mage analysis in there, which I have to add to the regular analysis. I'll do that later. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really hyped after, like, oh my god, what is it? Get 2006, 2024. 18 years. After 18 years, making strides in analysis for this game. That's beautiful. I love it. So much fun. And yeah, my chicken in the air fryer is done. I'll see you guys some other time. Bye.